all praises, honor, and glory to our power Yahweh, Baha Shem Yahushai, Baha Shem Rachah Kodash, double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect of the tabernacles of David, scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, and wherever you may be, wherever you may be, to you I say Shalom, Yasharah, Shalom. All right, playing the waiting game here, so I wanted to get into a quick lesson. Basically, it's pretty much a basic MOTB lesson. For those of you that may watch my videos, I was gonna say at camp, but I guess anytime, but especially at camp, you might hear me speak about it, and I'll mention, the mandatory implementation of the RFID micro C-HIP, which gives them, meaning the devils, meaning the bankers, full autonomy over every aspect of your life from a remote location. Now, I've gone into this once before, and so, basically that's just the way the Spirit gave it to me to break it down or to speak of it. And like I said, I've gone into it before, and we're going to go into those words for, maybe we have new listeners. So the first thing we have put up here is mandatory. Okay, mandatory. We required by law or rules. Compulsory, which is going to the same thing as mandatory. It's required by law or rules. So mandatory. Okay, it's that first word there. And we'll type in next implementation. Implementation. So it says the process of putting a decision or plan into effect in execution, of a plan. And so what is the plan they're planning on executing? A digital system, CBDC, which stands for Central Bank Digital Currency. Keywords being digital currency, central bank digital currency, CBDCs. And also issuing microchips, which is how you connect to that system. And as the scriptures say, which we're going to read them, that you can't buy or sell without it. All right. This goes to show you that we don't all have the we don't have the mark of the beast, all right? Because that's been a thing that was said, that we all got the mark of the beast. What are you talking about? So everybody is buying and selling on the planet now has the mark of the beast. We're all doomed, right? That will upset prophecy. Anyways, this doesn't make sense. Implementation, the process of putting a decision or plan into effect, execution. So the mandatory, meaning you have to, example of mandatory, you got a work meeting. All right. The boss says that you have to be there. Okay. It's mandatory that you be there because you might get fired or suspended or whatever the case may be. If it's not mandatory, it's more so we have a work meeting. We would like for you all to be there, but you don't have to be. So this thing is going to be mandatory. It's an optional thing now. You see it spreading, different places across the globe. It's an optional thing, and they're marketing it to you like it's, the big word, they're convenient. Okay. But sooner or later, it's not going to anymore be optional. It's going to be, this is the way, or this is you die. That's their way of seeing things. Okay. So mandatory implementation. Okay. We'll get RFID on the screen next. Radio frequency identification. If you didn't know what that stood for, you do now. ID, identification, radio frequency, RFID. Technology uses radio waves to identify people or objects. Now, it's not so important as to objects, which this has first originally was tested a long time ago in dogs. And then they tested it a long time ago also in the people, like in the back of your, where you flex your muscle at. When people, they make a muscle on the opposite side, the back of the arm there. They started testing it there in people. But, moving on to the prophecy of the things, into your hand. Doesn't matter if it's your right hand or your left hand. Okay. Or anywhere in your body for that matter. But, you're really dealing with the hand. Okay. So radio frequency identification, RFID technology uses radio waves to identify people or objects. There is a device that reads information contained in a wireless device or tag from a distance without making any physical contact or requiring a line of sight. And I believe there's a video that we put up. I can't remember because we do those sessions, the AI chat sessions. But where the guy was talking about his device, and somebody asked him about, well, how do you recharge it? Speaking about a battery and stuff. Like, no, there's no battery. Okay, there's this frequency, the radio frequency that's sent off. And that's how it's kept in constant. Like when you go into your store, whatever retail store, any kind of retail store, and you're making a sale. All right, there's something called the POS system, the point of sales, the point of the sale. For all the items you're collecting in the store, the point that you make the sale is the cash register. So the cash register, along with the card reader, you stick your credit card in, you swipe, tap, or scan. So the cash register, along with that card reader system, is the POS system. That is the point where you come to make the sale of all the things you collected in the store that you went into. Okay, so that's the POS system. And there is a signal that's sent off when you use that, which, is how the card and everything's activated and so on. So that's exactly how the device, or somewhat how the device would work. Okay, a signal sent, because you'll be able to, well, not you, because we're not planning on taking it, Lord will we all be able to deny that through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shah. But the people of the world, they'll have the device, they'll be able to walk up to whatever point of sale system, any cash register or whatever, self checkout probably, and just swipe, scan their hand, and the signal will tap into the device that's in their hand, and then the sale is made. So make sense? So there is a device that reads information containing a wireless device or tag from a distance without making any physical contact or requiring a line of sight. So mandatory implementation of the RFID. You got to get this one. This is the big one right here. This is Elizabeth right here. Microchip. All right. Microchip, a tiny wafer or semiconducting. You probably hear that word a lot. Semiconductors, when they always talking about chips, making chips and stuff like that. The race to chips, the race to AI, and all this kind of, you always hear that word semiconductor. So a tiny wafer of semiconducting material used to make an integrated circuit. So that's exactly what this is. The device is nothing but a bunch of circuits, which has the 666 embedded in it, in the UPC, the Universal Product Code, and all these different things there that are inside the device. That's the size of a grain of rice. All right. Oh, implant a microchip under the skin. Wow, can they make that up? Implant a microchip under the skin of a domestic animal as a means of identification. I remember in one of those last definitions we read, to trace or something like that, track people, because they're not worrying about the animals. The animals are one thing, but they're not worrying about the dogs and all that kind of stuff. They're worried about tracking, tracing, and surveilling the people of the planet and making them as cattle, permanent slaves. All right. So you got microchip. Mandatory implementation of the RFID microchip that gives them being the bankers, all right, the elites, so-called, will get, I was going to put in autonomy. Maybe I'll put in full autonomy, because I usually just type in autonomy. So what just happened here? Okay. Autonomy. Oh, left the O out. Autonomy. Okay, full autonomy. It refers to having full independence of self-governance in a certain situation or context. Okay, so actually it might be good to me, because after reading that, it might be good to just get the word autonomy. So autonomy, it says the right or condition of self-government. So here's the key thing. It says the right or condition of self-government, but mind you, it's the elite so-called bankers who are going to have full autonomy over you. So they're going to be governing you, which the apostles broke that down before. Government, meaning mind control. Okay, so they're going to fully control you if you fall to taking the device. So the people of the world will be fully controlled by the bankers. And that's why we say it the way we say it. Gives them full autonomy. Not you, but gives them, because of the microchip, full autonomy over every aspect of your life. So every nook and cranny or whatever, it's basically a system of control. Make sense? It also says here, what's this? In Kantian moral philosophy, the capacity of an agent to act in accordance with objective morality rather than under the influence of desires. All right, so engaging in behavior by choice, particularly when the behavior is aligned with internal values. People are most autonomous when their actions reflect their genuine interests and or values. So whose interest or values is the microchip about? It's the bankers. See? So mandatory implementation of the RFID microchip that gives the bankers full autonomy over every aspect of your life. And they will be controlling that from some remote location because the device is not for them. It is for the rest of the world. That small group, that 1% of them, the device is not for them. It's only for the rest of the world, which includes their own people. Now, let's get some scriptures. I'm thinking about a few. I'm going to get this one before I forget it. Follow me, if you will, to the Apocrypha. Please ask, because I always get them mixed up. 10, 12, 14 is one of those chapters. Let's see here. We'll find it. Okay, we can actually get this one too. It's not the one I was looking for, but we're in chapter 12. Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 10. Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. Though he humble himself and go crouching. All right, so if he does something, which we're going to read that, he doesn't do it because he's just so great and so humble and so nice and loving and caregiving or whatever. Okay. Take good heed and beware of him, and thou shalt be unto him as if thou hast wiped a looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust had not been altogether wiped away. So that rust is likened to his wickedness. And what is rust? Oh, well, not what is rust, but how does rust operate? Once you leave something there, like you leave some metal, all right, like you leave something, like let's say it's a metal bowl, for example. We just say metal or a screw or a nut or something like that, and it's sitting soaking in water for a long period of time. When you come back, eventually you're going to start to see rust spots. And if you don't take care of that rust and you come back after another long while, the rust has spread. So that's how Esau's wickedness is. You can't do away with it because that's how he was created to be, the wicked of the earth. All right. Malachi 1, the border of wickedness. Job 9:24, the earth has been given into the hands of the wicked. The wicked is talking about the bankers, the elite, which ultimately all the Edomites are devils, but in particular the ones that are in power. Okay. Set him not by thee, lest when he hath overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place, neither let him sit at thy right hand. And this is a major message right here to these people that want to save this man. All right, you love him so much. Okay, it'll be somebody, it'll be Jake running around talking about how much, oh, the white man this, I hate the white man, then you can't trust the white man. But then you think a white man is coming back to save you. Jake bugged out, man. Anyways, neither let him sit at thy right hand, lest he seek to take thy seat. And thou at the last remember my words and be pricked therewith. What do you think he has the sentiment about Jacob? When the days of mourning my father are at hand, then will I slay my brother Jacob. See? Who would pity a charmer that is bitten with a serpent, or any such as come nigh wild beast? So one that goeth to a sinner and is defiled with him in his sins, who would pity? All right. So, let me keep reading. For a while he will abide with thee, but if thou begin to fall, he will not tarry. See, he did that very heavily to the woman, to the Israelite woman. Okay, acted all friendly, and boosted their egos and all this kind of things. And now look what's happening. They're falling flat in their face because the serpent was never your friend. He was your enemy, and he used you as a false friend to make enemy of the men of your own nation. All right, and destroyed the family structure. An enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips, but in his heart, and in his mind, he imagineth how to throw thee into a pit. See, he will weep with his eyes, but if he find opportunity, he will not be satisfied with blood. Like it says in Ezekiel, sit thou hast not hated blood, blood shall pursue thee. If adversity come upon thee, thou shalt find him there first. And though he pretend to help thee, see, check this out, yet shall he undermine thee. What is set up above, don't sit him by you. He will shake his head and clap his hands and whisper much and change his countenance. Oh, beautiful. What's that? Lamentations 2. This is the day we look for. See? So let me jump over and get the other scriptures here. I think it's in 14. Yep. Let's start at verse 3. Riches are not comely for a niggard, a stingy and ungenerous person. And what should an envious man do with money? He that gathereth by defrauding his own soul gathereth for others, that shall spend his goods riotously. He that is evil, this is the point I want to get. He that is evil to himself. So if you do whatever to his own people, what more his sworn enemies, which are your Israelites, going all the way back to the womb, Jacob and Esau, our forefathers that, represent both of the nations, all right, of the nation of Israel and the nation of the Edomites. To whom will he be good? He shall not take pleasure in his goods. There is none worse than he that envieth himself. And this is we just read about this, the recompense of his what? Wickedness. Just like that rust we talked about, it's not altogether wiped away. You can't do away with wickedness with Esau because he was created to be that way. Okay? The vessel of wrath, of dishonor, fitted to destruction. Just paraphrasing it. And if he doeth good, he doeth it unwillingly. So if he does something nice for you, okay, beware. Okay? Beware. Because he's not doing it out of the goodness of his heart. He has an ultimate agenda, a hidden agenda. If he doeth good, he doeth it unwillingly, and at the last he will declare his wickedness. Okay? And as our topic was talking about the RFID microC hip, he's offering it as convenient, helpful, life-changing, and so on and so forth, even the brain ones. But ultimately, it's to put him in control over you permanently, where you have no more say-so over your own life. Okay, and that's deeper than what most people can understand and imagine. But that's what that chip is going to achieve. The envious man hath a wicked eye. He turneth away his face and despiseth men. He despises men. And those men include his own people. A covetous man's eye is not satisfied with this portion. And what is he doing now? Heaping unto himself all people are going around. He wants Canada. He wants the name of the Gulf of Mexico. He wants Cuba. He wants Venezuela. Well, he somewhat got Venezuela in a little bit. He wants to go after Colombia, I believe. Mexico. Okay. He wants Iran from the inside out. Which he tried to, I guess, I'm pretty sure they were probably behind, was a recent attack on Putin. They tried to assassinate Putin. He might have been behind that too. And it makes me think about it because there was two things. One post that was from, I think, Elder Yashawamba, and then there was a lesson that I listened to from the Elder of Vegas, right? And it makes sense, though. Can't say it for sure, but it makes sense because the post was about, I can't remember exactly the words, but Putin pretty much ejecting all like the Israelis from out of the country. But it makes sense if you see what they're doing to Iran, trying to take them from the inside out, setting up these, these Jason Bourne type characters, right? Sleeper cells. They go in and, do things from the inside out. So the assassination attempt didn't work. And so now Putin's like, because that's the thing about Putin, though. The dude always cool, calm, collected, and he be kind of up on game on things. So he's like, I ain't falling for that. Let me get these people out of the country because you ain't finna do what you're doing, do to us what you're doing to Iran right now. Okay? Now, like I said, I can't say that it's for sure, but it just makes sense, though. Okay? And so on and so forth. We see what Esau's doing, man. Like, as I call them, the Edomites of the East, which are talking about those in the state of Israel, and the Edomites of the West, which are talking about these Babylonians, the Americans, all right? A wicked eye envieth his bread, and he is a niggard at his table. Okay? So he doesn't care about his own people, so what more you jakes, man? Okay? Which also is funny, because there's a lot of talk about the Indians, man. Indian this, Indian that. And I don't know what if you notice there's a lot of stuff. Oh, the Indians this, the Indians that, the Indians that are Indian people. But like what's the purpose and the point of that? All right. I don't really get that. But it's in the news though. There's a lot of talk going after like that, like this after the Indians now. Or they're not. But anyways, that's aside from the point. We made that point there. Let's jump over here. As a matter of fact, let me get one out of Joe real quick. Perform. As a matter of fact, I can just type in enterprise. Job 5 and 12. Let's see what the context is. Okay, so he disappointed, Job 5 and 12. He disappointed the devices. Okay, what's one of those key scriptures we go into? 2 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 11, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we're not ignorant of his devices. We're talking about one of his main devices right now, because his devices could be technology, weapons, legislations and bills and executive orders and things that he passes, because those are all a part of his sword, which is a part of his blessing. Okay, so he disappointed the devices of the crafty, so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. Because ultimately, the Lord is going to take this devil down when the time comes. But he has a certain agenda that he has to carry out because he was created to do so. Okay? Like it says in 2 Thessalonians, then should that wicked be revealed, who the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth and the brightness of his coming. The spirit of his mouth is happening right now through the mouths of the prophets. And the brightness of his coming is when the Lord comes for that action. All right? He taketh the wise in their own craftiness. He says, what does it say? They're wiser than Daniel. Okay. It's another one of the things that talks about wiser than the children of light or something like that. But you get the point. He accomplishes a diligent search. Scriptures like that. Knowledge shall increase. So Esau has run his course. He's going to the peak of his existence right now. The only thing left is for him to fulfill his purpose, which is these final I want to call it obligations. I guess you could, though, because he's been programmed by the Lord on the left-hand side. But, his final task as the wicked, okay, before the kingdom of heaven is established and salvation is given to the elect of the nation of Israel. He taketh the wise in their own craftiness, and the counsel of the forward is carried headlong. Yep. And the Lord says he's going to wound the head of many countries. That includes Esau, Edom. He's the main one. When you go to Psalms 83rd chapter, he's the first one mentioned, Edom. And then also one of the chief branches, the Amalekites are also mentioned, which are the weak wishes. Okay, so yeah, let's go over here to, how about we just pull up Revelation now? I'm just kind of rolling with the spirit here. So let's pull up that 13:16, all right? So, and he causeth all, both small and great, taking the food, making it a shortage, water, certain living situations, and money, all these different things, the crumbling of the economy. He's putting all these things, okay, into a ball, and he's putting the pressure on the people. And what he wants is for them to forsake their ways, especially if you're an Israelite, to forsake your power and want him as a way out, as an escape, as salvation, as your God. That's what he wants. Okay, of everybody, but especially you Israelites. And when it comes to the nation of Israel, they have to make the conscious decision, because nobody's going to force and hold you down and just start stabbing into your arm. No, man. This guy, it has to be a conscious decision, because he wants people to make the decision that they're going to forsake whatever it is that they worship to follow after him. All right. All, both small and great, doesn't matter your social status or your, what's in your wallet. All right. Rich and poor. So, but small and great also going into the elderly or the young, rich or poor, free and bond. So if you're out here on the illusion that you're free, or if you're actually incarcerated, okay, in the jail or prison systems, doesn't matter. Okay. To receive a mark in their right hand, which the word mark is charagma. That's the device that we just got through talking about. Okay, in the opening. All right, charagma, which goes back to the word charax, which that is how he's going to deliver it into your, under your skin. Okay, and that root word from there is, not that's a whole other word right there. I was thinking about tapinosis. What's that word? Graphel, which means to write. Okay, because in that, which that's very important right there, in that device, graphel, to write, you're going to have everything about you, age, sex, your whatever's in your bank account, what's in your wallet, your medical history, any other kind of history will all be written. Graphel, right to write, will all be written inside of your own personal RFID chip for the people of the world. Now that's a little willing, but inside of everybody's personal chip, all the information shall be scripture shall be stored. All the information will be stored inside of that chip, and that is how they're going to know who everybody is. You have talks about facial recognition and things, biometrics overall, which are facial recognition, your eyes, your iris, your thumb, or your fingerprints, and things of that nature. All right, that's all part of your biometrics. All those things will be accountable for and traceable through the microchip which they want to implant into people. Okay. And he shows you he's some kind of faulty God there, because he has to depopulate in order for this plan to be fulfilled. Because there's too many people on the earth. No, it's not. That's not what the Lord said. That's not what the Bible says. The Lord is the Father of all spirits. Okay, so he's a faulty God, because he's not a God at all, man. This is something that which we talked about that many times before, how the ancient Roman, emperors would declare themselves as gods, them and themselves as gods, or divus, or however you pronounce it, divus, as divine, as gods and stuff, them and their families. That was the ancient Roman Empire, and this is the Roman Empire revived. So this is Esau attempting to call himself a god, just like the ancient Roman Empire. But to close off my thought there, he has to depopulate in order for this thing to work properly, which means if he was able to pull this off fully and continue on, that would mean there will be a constant culling of people, because he has to keep the population down to a size. So he would have to do things like restrict, people from having babies. Like, I think that was something that was going on like in China. You have to have a certain status in your household, which tell you how many children you can have or not have, or if you can have children at all. So he's going to have to implement something like that, you can't have children because there are going to be too many people on the earth. And then if there is an overpopulation, well, they're going to have to get rid of them. How are they going to do that? Maybe a purge, or maybe they just delete, or however. So he would have to constantly purge the society, man. So we need to get the hell out of here, because this man can't rule, man. Okay? The Lord is showing us the most unfit ruler of all existence, which is Esau Edom. Okay? And in due time, he will set over it one that is profitable, which is our Lord and Savior, Yahweh Shai. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, which is that the brain devices. You have just things like Neuralink and Synchron and so on and so forth. And that no man might buy or sell, no man that might buy or sell, save ye that have the mark or the name of the beast or the numbers. So if you have this device implanted into you, you can buy or sell. It goes back to what we talked about earlier. So how we all got the mark of the beast, if ain't nothing implanted in us? Oh, it's a spiritual thing. Okay. That's not true at all. If you hear that, that ain't true. All right, it's a physical thing. It is the same thing. Excuse me. It is the same thing that our forefather, all right, big brother John the Revelator broke down to us in the book of Revelation, what we're reading now, which is what our apostles broke down and our bishops and elders broke down to us. That is what this is, a physical device that goes under your skin, mass surveillance, and basically how we broke it down, the mandatory implementation of the RFID microchip that gives them, the devils, the bankers, the 1%, full autonomy over every aspect of your life for some remote location, because they themselves will not be taking it. It is for the rest of the world. All right? Or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. And it says, here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666, but you can see that everywhere. Which that 666 is in the Universal Product Code, the UPC, which is the barcode, which they're going to have one in the device. And that is how you've made an idol enter into your temple. Because if you take the device under your skin, you're not supposed to cut into your skin. You're not supposed to worship idols. So if they cut into your skin, you're violating one of the laws. And if they put the device, because that's the whole purpose of them doing that in the first place, they put the device under your skin, you now allowed an idol to enter your temple, because the temple is talking about you, your body. All right. So yeah, that was a little quick. How long are we going? Okay, about 30 minutes. It wasn't as quick as I thought, but it was still just a quick lesson on the MOTB. To keep that one, in the cycle. So Lord willing that you were edified by it. We're going to close by giving all praise, honor, and glory to our power, Yahweh Shai. Once again, double honor to the apostles, bishops, and elders, a great millstone. Peace and blessings, the hopeful elect of the tabernacles of David. Shalom.